Hi guys, it's Debbie from healingfrombpd.org. My hair is having a little mind of its own right now, so please do not let that be too much of a distraction for you as I film this video. You may also see my cats running through, so a little warning there. Well, I had some time today and I thought I'd make a video, and so I'm taking a request from James of RC on Twitter on how to not slip into your old coping skills when you're in a crisis or feeling emotionally distressed. So just so you guys know, in case you're new to my channel or to my blog, I'm not a doctor or a therapist or anything like that. I am a person who has borderline personality disorder, along with some other diagnoses. And I blog about it at healingfrombpd.org. I am currently in dialectical behavior therapy, also known as DBT, and I've been in it for about 2 years now. I've also gone through CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and that was for about 3 or 4 years. And that was focused on my diagnosis of obsessive compulsive disorder. And I actually recently posted about an emotional crisis I had that was very complicated because it was a mix of the BPD, the OCD, and also PTSD. I'm just a walking set of acronyms and a silly nerd. But anyway, let me focus on James's question, and I'm going to start out by saying that from my understanding, coping skills that worked in the past that we no longer find effective, trigger warning, I'm going to name a couple, so you may want to just pause or fast forward real quick. Some people, and when I go like this, the trigger warning's over in case you are muting it. Okay, here we go, trigger warning. For some people, it's cutting. For others, it's burning. I've heard that some people hit themselves. There are other ways of self-harming. Also, self-sabotaging, which is a huge one for me. I've done that many times and then regretted it, all around impulse control and things of that nature. So if we have these coping skills that have worked in the past, and we're calling them past coping skills, and like James is saying, how do you avoid going to them? That makes me draw the conclusion that someone has decided that those coping skills are no longer effective. They're not getting the desired result. Although they may help you feel better in the moment, they are not in accordance with your long-term goals and even your short-term goals. So this would be the reason I would presume why someone would not want to go back to those types of coping mechanisms. Dr. Marsha Linehan, who created DBT, talks all the time about how everything has cause. That means no one thing happens just randomly. There's always something that came before it and something before that. So if you're feeling an urge or a tendency to go back to past coping skills, or I should say when I have that tendency, it's important that I look at myself with compassion and say, okay, well, I'm aware of new coping skills and new ways of handling things that I've been learning through therapy. So there's a reason why I would be feeling a sense of an urge or a temptation to go back to old coping skills. And then I'd want to look at that. There's a worksheet. It's on my blog. If you go to my blog and type in the little search bar, I think Emotion Regulation Worksheet 1A, and keep the 1A together as a single word. It'll come up, and you can actually do this and sort out what's going on with your emotions. I actually just recommended this to another Twitter follower who was feeling down and kind of like going back and forth with his feelings. For me, when I do the homework worksheet 1A, it helps me to understand what I'm feeling. It helps me to track down some of the cause. What happened before this to make me feel this way? What are the thoughts and temptations I'm having to do this? And it can also give me, not always, but it can sometimes give me a sense of understanding around why I may find those thoughts comforting. The crisis may be really bad. The crisis may be very similar to a crisis I experienced when those were my coping skills. It may feel like the lazy way out to do that coping skill instead of doing the more challenging work of applying the DBT skills, because let's face it, when we're in a crisis and we don't feel well, the last thing we want to do is really put effort into it. But I can assure you from my own personal experience that doing that instead of going back to old destructive coping mechanisms can be so life-changing. You no longer are you self-destructing or sabotaging your life or destroying relationships or doing impulsive things that you later regret. Sure, you feel better maybe for those first few minutes or during the time that you're using that coping mechanism, but right after, and then after that. Now, if you have turned to the old coping mechanism, I don't want you to beat yourself up over it because that's not going to help either, obviously. What you can do is just look with a curious, non-judgmental mind and ask yourself, why did I do this? Why did they do it, Franks? Why do we do that? And just with compassion, just look like a curious person. Like, come outside for a moment and look and see if this was my sister or my brother or my parent or my best friend or my significant other and they did this. How would I treat them and comfort them through this? And definitely always talk to your therapist or your psychiatric professional. If you don't have one, there are hotline numbers on my blog at healingfromppt.org on the resources page, including a hotline called Tara, which is open certain hours of the day, Monday through Friday on the East Coast, and it's specifically for helping people with borderline personality disorder. Then there are other numbers for people who have issues with or thoughts around self-harm and things of that nature. So there are places to reach out. There's also, if you're not feeling like you're in danger and you're just kind of like feeling stressed by the thoughts and such, we have a hashtag on Twitter called BPD Friends, and a lot of us go to that for support. So I hope this was insightful and helpful to you in some way. And if you have any questions, please put them below. And thank you very much for reading my blog and watching my videos. And I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.